Blog Talk Radio.
Deadly riots over the government's plan to avoid defaulting on its loans.
Is that the unemployment keeps rising, and it has to keep rising just because we have an excess supply of goods, which is
this is all borrowed money that our
and that debt is owned by banks in other countries.
Still
over wire.
In the form of a convenient filter cigarette that delivers the taste, and I only buy malt liquor.
Are you high?
Modern psychology has a word that is probably used more than any other word in psychology. It is the word maladjusted. Maladjusted. I would like to say to you today that there are some things in our society and some things in our world for which I'm proud to be maladjusted. And I call upon all men of goodwill to be maladjusted to these things until the good society is realized.
You know, economists are in fact not economists at all. They're propagandists of money value. This system is more wasteful than all the other existing systems in the history of the planet. So you're really dealing with not an economic system, but I would go so far as to say an anti-economic system. The problem we have is essentially the financial money sequence system. It's a system disorder, and the system disorder seems to be fatal. There is no profit under the current paradigm in saving lives, putting balance on this planet, having justice and peace or anything else.
Disease supports medicine. It supports doctors and hospitals. But if you really were able to eliminate most diseases, you would eliminate professions as well.
You have to create problems to create profit. Crime does create business. We have now roughly 2 million people incarcerated in this country. Many of them are in prisons run by private corporations who trade their stock on Wall Street based upon how many people are in jail. But that's a reflection of the culture in which we live, in which we've all, to one degree or another, endorsed.
I think the biggest barrier would be the values that people are taught to uphold that system.
At the social level of life organization, it isn't a genetic program or a genetic defect. It's a value system disorder.
Well, you have to understand that the intellectual culture of a society actually reflects the power interests in that society, the dominant perspective.
In the past, throughout almost all of human history, the main threat to human survival was nature. Today it is culture. Not only does structural violence kill more people than all the behavioral violence put together, structural violence is also the main cause of behavioral violence.
Some colleagues at Harvard studying this suggested that inequality acted as a social pollutant because it affects almost everyone in society.
The immune system cannot recognize the invasive cancer, and it takes over the whole body until the body collapses. And we're in that spasming, collapsing form now.
So the system has to be corrected, not print more money and give it to banks. That doesn't deal with the problem.
Every level of life organization and life system is in a state of crisis and challenge and decay or collapse.
The problems that we have today will continue to go on. This will never go away within a monetary system.
It's clear that we're on the verge of a great transition in human life.
That what we face now is this fundamental change of the life we've known over the last century.
There has to be a link between the economy and the resources of this planet, the resources being, of course, all animal and plant life, the health of the oceans and everything else. This is a monetary paradigm that will not let go until it's killed the last human being.
The in-group will do all it can to stay in power. And that's what you got to keep in mind. They'll use the Army and Navy and lies or whatever they have to use to keep in power. They're not about to give it up because they don't know of any other system that will perpetuate their kind.
everybody. Welcome to the October 6th radio show. This is Peter. This is lecture 2 of 8. It's going to be called A Resource-Based Economy, the Economic Model. And I want to basically, in a logical sense, summarize what a resource-based economy is, its train of thought, and some of the core attributes of its construction. Now, before I begin, though, there's some temporal things. We have a need for more linguistic team members. We need more translators to do some work. So on the forum, there should be a post that you can see a link that goes to a wiki, and the wiki will show a series of languages where we do not have proper translators or enough translators. And if you have the ability to participate, please join, because we really can't do much unless we have a communicative ability to reach every language on this planet, as you might imagine. It's one of those complex, evolutionarily aggravating things, but languages are very interesting. I do wish eventually we can find a balance between languages, and it would certainly bring the world closer together to be able to share more or less a single language on some level. I know some will debate that for cultural or communicative reasons, but who knows, in time, hopefully we can move towards something like that. We certainly need an improvement in language in general, as Jacques discusses at length. Second point, the movie trailer was put out. It's gotten a tremendously good response in the 2 days it was up. I was very happy to see that type of resurgence of interest. It's been 2 years since the last film was produced, and I'm very happy that hopefully there'll be motivation for this film. And obviously the intent is to push these ideas along, get the public to wake up to what is a growing cancer, which has to be stopped as far as I'm concerned. None of this stuff is going to come to any resolution in the current system, and I hope everyone kind of understands this. And later in the lecture series, I'll describe that more specifically in the collapse portion. Okay, a resource-based economy, an economic model. What is an economic model? In the most simplistic terms, you could say an economic model shows variables and the dynamic processing or interaction of said variables to meet production and distribution demands and anything else generally related to economic functionality. That's obviously a very loose categorization and definition I've just given, especially if you go back and research the various economic models that have been produced, by economists, monetary economists over the past 200 years. You will enter into just a mind-blowing world of risk assessment and stochastic behavioral models and interest rate to exchange rate protocols, arbitrage conditions, service vector evaluations, rational choice theories, price equilibrium, attributes, and so on and so forth. It's fascinating, truly fascinating. However, as a point of consistency, since I'm on the subject, nowhere in these highly intellectualized, sophisticated, novel, creative, and often internally sound, structurally logical expressions will you find anything about planetary resources. Will you find anything about the science of creating proper goods? Nowhere will you find anything about longevity, efficiency of production in the sense of conservation, or creating anything that would reflect true economic efficiency, which is, of course, the intelligent management of all of our resources and the methods of mining, culminating, producing, and distributing those resources. Zero. Virtually all economic monetary models simply revolve around various notions of labor and value, which is an absolutely convoluted concept, savings, interest rates, and again a long string of previously aforementioned variables which are utterly decoupled from every kind of natural resource and processes on this planet or anything tangible. And the processes, the economic matrices, are nonsensical and absolutely unrelated. They are abstractions of thought using classic linear equations to depict variables in closed, finite systems that have numerous presumptions about what they represent when there is absolutely no linear direction, no linear referent to anything truly tangible at all. If you go through the work of the high priests of modern market theory, Ludwig von Mises, F.A. Hayek, Milton Friedman, John Maynard Keynes, Adam Smith, you find some wonderfully articulate and perfectly sound reasoning, but that reasoning exists within a closed set of variables, and a series of presumptions are always evident. And again, those presumptions have nothing to do with anything that's provably tangible, no physical reference. These huge projections and speculations on human behavior. Economists, when you break them down, all the individuals I've just mentioned, they're not scientists. They're not basing anything on actual scientific evaluation. They are simply philosophers. And that's all every monetary economic theorist has ever been, is a philosopher of the means of production and distribution, not scientists in the sense that they actually have a physical referent to balance and test their models. In fact, if you look at the criticisms that Hayek and Mises and Keynes and all of the others, when they're criticized, they tend to fall back on the same basic set of defenses, which are more or less comparison-oriented. For example, they'll say, and I've heard this countless times, when anything's brought up about problems with the market system, such as rampant poverty and abuse and slave labor, they say, well, you know what? Say what you want about poverty and conflict, but history has proven that capitalism and the monetary structure has created more wealth and efficiency and high-quality goods and quality of life than any system we've ever known, so there. No. The only thing that's created prosperity in the human population, the only thing that's responsible for human development and the growing population, which has been going exponentially, the only thing that's created a higher standard of living on this planet are, in fact, two things: the advent of technology and the discovery of cheap hydrocarbon energy. That's it. That is what has driven this seemingly advanced society, which is actually quite in reverse when you look at it. The quality of life of most human beings is actually in reverse right now because of this exact same system, for the exact same reasons that gave the illusion of prosperity to begin with. This system has in fact run its course. What you're seeing has been a cosmic delusion. It has been a complete coincidence that technological innovation, coupled with the emergence of an abundance of energy that's cheap all over the planet, has coupled with the advent of this economic system called the market system. Now, I know right now all the monetary indoctrinated individuals that support this system are chomping at the bit right now on the edge of their seats going, but wait a minute, the reason we've had progress in technology is because competition has motivated that progress. Well, is that really true? Is there any evidence for that, really? Have any of the major contributions of technology come from people that have been outspoken about their interest to make money off of it? I don't think so. If you research Daniel Pink and his work on motivation, which is basically a compilation of numerous psychological studies about what it means to be creative, about versus what it means to be mechanical, you tend to find that creativity, hence technological innovation, is actually driven